Hello friends, myself Dr. Nidhi Darbari on My Education Treasure, and today I am going to explain about the factors and functions of teaching. Factors affecting teaching. Some factors that affect teaching are factors concerning the students. In fact, no two students will be exactly alike in any aspect. Even in identical twins, some differences are found. The students differ in inherited capacities, abilities, attitudes, appreciations, interests, habits of behavior, and skill acquired from training and experiences in the environment in which they have lived. Boys and girls from the same family differ greatly despite having had the same home environment. Environmental experience play a major role in the development. A teacher needs to understand individual differences among the students to improve his teaching. Factors concerning the nature of learning experiences. When we say that teaching or learning experience, it indicates that student is to be assisted to learn through self activity. So teachers must help the students to have the experience that will enable them to acquire desired results. Factors concerning the learning outcomes. The basic concern of the teaching is the learning outcome. A teacher needs to understand the nature of learning outcome, like the chemist who, unless he knows the makeup of his product, he will not know what substances to choose and what reactions to bring about. In the same way, the teacher needs to know the expected outcome of his teaching. The knowledge of learning outcome would help a teacher in deciding the course content, organization of teaching strategy for effective knowledge attainment, preparation of students to face the real hardships of life. Factors concerning the need of the society. For effective teaching learning process, the teacher must have a clear understanding of the nature of the society, the requirements of the society, the aspirations of the students in which teaching is taking place. This is going to affect what he is going to teach, how he is going to teach, the aims and objectives of his teaching, and the administrative devices he is going to use. Factors concerning the curriculum. Proper preparation of the curriculum and logical selection of the course content for teaching helps the student to develop interest and understanding of the subject. So a teacher has to decide what shall be taught in the course. How shall the course materials be organized? Should the unit plans be used? If so, for which courses? How to organize such curriculum? Proper organization and framing of curriculum will improve to be the milestone in effective teaching. Factors concerning the method of teaching. Selection of teaching method at an appropriate level to teach a subject guides a teacher to do justice to the subject matter of the course. There are different methods of teaching, that is inductive method, deductive method, project method and development method, lecture method, demonstration method, question method. Activities like telling, questioning, explaining and demonstrating are really devices the teacher uses to further the learning of the students. Factors concerning the motivation and guidance. For effective teaching learning, motivation plays a vital role. Adequate motivation techniques applied by the teacher helps him to make his teaching effective and to clear the concepts of his students. So a teacher must learn the techniques of motivation. Factors concerning class management. For effective class management, a teacher needs to understand the academic level, the level of aspiration, the nature of locality from which the students are attending the class, the nature of the institution, the quality and quantity of teaching aids, materials or facilities available to teach in a class. An effective teacher has to plan his lesson, keeping and using records of the students' achievement and growth, maintaining good relationship with the students, developing a sense of moral and social responsibility and cooperation. Effective teachers manage their classroom in a democratic and free atmosphere where there are negligible chances of class conflict. Functions of teaching. Just as the doctor diagnoses the disease of a patient, suggests and prescribes medicines for the cure of the disease, and finally studies the effects of the drug on the patient and changes the treatment if the response of the medicines is not positive. Similarly, a teacher also goes through these processes by diagnosing the learning problems, suggests and adopts remedial measures, and finally evaluates the behavior of students to know the effectiveness of his measures. The functions of teaching are divided into diagnostic functions, prescriptive functions, and evaluative functions. Diagnostic functions. These functions are related to pre-active phase of teaching. This prepares the foundation of how a teacher prescribes remedial measures in the class. The main function of teacher is not only to teach and disseminate information to the students, but diagnose his students to render best help to them. He has to diagnose his students from every angle, that is, to know their physical, emotional, intellectual capabilities and weaknesses, different teaching methods and techniques, teaching material and teaching aids, etc. He has to know himself about his abilities and capacities and whether he is in that position to diagnose the students correctly or not. He has not only to diagnose students but himself too. Analysis of teaching task. The teacher first analyzes the subject matter to know whether the teaching task concurs the ability level of the students or not. This analysis is also necessary to divide the subject matter into different homogeneous segments and match the teaching strategies and hard work technologies according to the nature of the task. Determining the entering behavior. The teacher has to determine the entering behavior, that is previous knowledge of the students, by asking questions. New knowledge is given to them on the basis of this behavior. He fills the gap between old and new knowledge by relating the two by using proper tactics. The number of such introductory questions should not be less than 5 and more than 6. Determination of individual differences. Every student is different in his interest, ability, needs, and attitudes. A teacher has to satisfy each of them in the class. He has to guide the weak students and talented ones very systematically during his teaching, along with keeping his teaching at average level. Thus, collective teaching will be supplemented by individualized teaching also. Analysis of activities. A teacher performs many activities in the class by keeping the content into account. He decides what learning and teaching activities he will do in the class to make his teaching effective. The teaching strategies and techniques are determined according to the nature of the content. Decision about the nature and aids that he has to use in the class to clarify the concepts are also taken. Determination of teaching objectives. The teacher formulates the objectives of teaching according to the level and grades of students. These objectives are written in behavioral terms so that evaluation may be easy. If you found the video to be informative and interesting, I request you all to please give a like to the video to motivate me, share it for others and subscribe it so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get a notification. Prescriptive function. These functions are relative to interactive phase of teaching where the teacher puts all the variables of teaching into practice. He takes the help of action researchers to solve the problems related to techniques and strategies. After the teacher diagnoses his students, he has to perform the prescriptive functions. Through diagnosis, he knows their abilities, capabilities, interest, and on the basis of this information in the process of teaching, he can prescribe new subject matter content, methods, techniques, teaching skills, and feedback devices which are according to their individual differences to make the teaching easy and attain the goals. Putting teaching strategies and skills into practice. The strategies and techniques the teacher had selected for the presentation of different units of the content during the pre-active phase are used here. He changes them according to the nature of the content and does not allow the students to get bored. Arrangement of reinforcement and feedback devices. Proper application of strategies and techniques are not simply enough. Regular feedback and reinforcement to students at correct responses are also needed. These techniques and devices, which are decided and prepared in advance, increases the rate of responses of students because students get motivation from them. Evaluative functions. These functions are related to post-active phase of teaching. After prescription, the teacher now performs evaluative functions. Different evaluation techniques are used for the evaluation of teaching learning process like observation, interview, written, oral and practical tests. If the aims and objectives set by the teacher have been achieved, it means the teacher has rightly performed the diagnostic and prescriptive functions. If the aims and objectives of teaching have not been achieved, it should be ascertained as to where the fault lies. It may in the wrong use of diagnostic or prescriptive function. Thus, evaluation technique is useful for both the teacher and the student. The teacher comes to know whether there is any need of changing the nature of his prescriptive function and teaching methods, and the student comes to know about the benefit they have derived from the teaching learning process. Evaluative function of a teacher are as follows. Construction of a criterion test. Evaluation is necessary to know the exact information about the changes brought about in the behavior of students. This requires criterion tests relevant to the situation. If such tests are not available, they are constructed by the teacher himself. These tests must be reliable, valid, and objective to the maximum level possible. Evaluation of behavioral changes. After constructing the test, the teacher administers it to the students to know as to what extent the changes in the behavior of students have taken place. The behavioral changes are evaluated on the basis of the responses given by the students. Analysis of results and improvement. After scoring the answers given by the students, results are now analyzed to see as to what extent the teacher is successful in his efforts. Teaching differentiated from education. The scope of teaching is narrow. It is limited only till the child is in contact with the teacher. The scope of education is broad. Education is a lifelong process. The duration of teaching is limited till the teacher is teaching. The duration of education is lifelong process. The teaching is mainly formal type. Sometimes it is related to the informal teaching. Education is of formal, informal, and non-formal type. The meaning of teaching is to impart knowledge and information. The meaning of education is to develop the best in an individual. Artificial environment is provided in the teaching. Natural and artificial both type of environment is provided in education. In teaching, the place of the teacher is important. In education, the child is given importance. In teaching, educated and skilled teacher is needed. In education, any member of the society can play the role of the teacher. In teaching, lecture method, discussion method, demonstration method, project method, heuristic method, and playway method can be used. In education, the detailed methods are used. Teaching is imparted in educational institutions only. Education can be imparted in family, school, society, community, state, mass media, etc. The agents of teaching are teachers. The agents of education are parents and family, neighbors, friends, community members, etc. In teaching, strict discipline is stressed. In education, self-discipline is stressed. The place of teaching is the educational institutions. The whole society is the place of education. Teaching is concerned only with the knowledge that helps the students to pass the examination. Education is concerned with the life of an individual. Teaching is an important organ of education. Education is dynamic and continuous process. Teaching is always planned and methodical. Education is both planned and incidental. In teaching, evaluation is direct, the methods are pre-decided and is used to test the knowledge. In education, evaluation is a continuous process. Thank you very much for patiently watching the video and don't forget to subscribe.